What doctors don't tell you about aging gracefully. My wake-up call, when I almost gave up. Friend, can I be honest with you? 3 years ago, I was sitting in yet another doctor's office, hearing the same old song. Well, at your age, this is normal. I was 75, feeling like my body was betraying me, and frankly, I was scared about what the future held. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you're sitting there right now, wondering if your best years are behind you, if this gradual decline is just it. If all those doctor visits are just about managing problems instead of actually living well. I'm here to tell you something important. I was wrong. Dead wrong. And if you're feeling that way too, you might be wrong as well. My name's not important. What matters is that I'm 78 now, and I'm living better than I was at 70. Not because of some miracle cure or expensive treatment, but because I learned 7 things that no doctor ever took the time to explain to me. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just someone who's been exactly where you might be right now, worried, frustrated, and feeling like the medical system was letting me down. But I want to share what I discovered, because maybe it can help you avoid some of the dark days I went through. So pour yourself that cup of coffee, settle in, and let me tell you what I wish someone had told me when I was struggling. These aren't fancy medical secrets. They're real-life discoveries from someone who almost gave up, but found a way to truly thrive instead. Discovery number 1. I found my why again. After my wife passed away 5 years ago, I'll be honest with you, I felt lost. For 50 years, my purpose was clear. Take care of my family, work hard, be a good husband and father. But suddenly, I didn't know what I was supposed to do with my days. The doctors never asked about this. They checked my blood pressure, adjusted my medications, but nobody asked, what gets you excited to wake up in the morning? Turns out, that question might be more important than any blood test. I was feeling pretty sorry for myself when my neighbor mentioned that the animal shelter was looking for people to just sit with the older dogs. Dogs that, like me, weren't quite as spry as they used to be, and weren't getting much attention from potential adopters. I figured, why not? I had nothing but time. That first day, sitting with an old golden retriever named Buddy who'd been returned twice because of his arthritis, something clicked. Here was this sweet soul who'd been written off, just like I felt I had been. But Buddy still wagged his tail, still wanted to give love, still had so much to offer. That's when I realized, having a reason to get up, something that matters, even if it's small, changes everything. Your body responds differently when you have somewhere to be, someone counting on you. Even if it's just an old dog who brightens up when you walk in. I started going twice a week. Then 3 times. My energy came back because I had a purpose again. And you know what? The doctors started commenting on how much better I seemed, but they never connected it to the fact that I'd found my why again. Discovery number 2. People became my medicine. Here's something that might surprise you. Loneliness was killing me more than any of my health conditions. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean literally affecting my health in ways I never understood. After my wife died, I gradually stopped seeing people. It hurt too much to do the things we used to do together. I told myself I was fine, that I'd always been independent. But I was slowly disappearing, and the doctors never asked about my social life. At the animal shelter, something beautiful happened. I met other volunteers, people like Margaret, who'd lost her husband 2 years earlier, and Frank, who was dealing with his own health scares. We were all there for the animals, but we ended up being there for each other too. We started having coffee after our volunteer shifts. Nothing fancy, just talking about our days, sharing stories about the dogs, complaining about our kids not calling enough. You know, real talk. I noticed something amazing. On the days I spent time with Margaret and Frank, I felt better physically. My arthritis didn't seem as bad, I slept better, even my mood was brighter. It wasn't in my head, I was actually healthier when I wasn't alone. The thing is, you don't need a crowd of people. One good friend who really listens, who you can be honest with, that's worth more than a dozen acquaintances. And sometimes, you have to be the one who reaches out first. I learned that most people my age are just as lonely as I was, just as hungry for real connection. Don't wait for others to call. Be the one who suggests coffee. Trust me on this one. Discovery number 3. Moving gently changed everything. Now, let me tell you about exercise. For years, doctors told me I needed to exercise, but they made it sound like I needed to train for the Olympics or something. They'd hand me pamphlets about gym memberships and complicated routines that honestly made me feel exhausted just reading about them. But here's what they never told me: your body just wants to move. It doesn't care if it's exercise with a capital E. It just wants to not be stuck in that chair all day. When I started volunteering at the shelter, I had to walk from the parking lot to the building. Then I had to walk the dogs, even if it was just around the small yard. Some days that was tough, but I kept doing it because the dogs needed it, and I didn't want to let them down. Slowly, those short walks got easier. I started parking a little farther away on purpose. I began taking the stairs instead of the elevator when my knees felt good. Nothing dramatic, nothing that made me feel like I was punishing myself. But the changes were real. My balance got better. I stopped feeling so unsteady. My mood improved because gentle movement actually helps your brain make those feel-good chemicals. And my sleep? Oh my goodness, my sleep got so much better. The secret isn't intensity, it's consistency. 10 minutes of moving around your garden, dancing slowly to an old song, even just stretching while watching TV. Your body will thank you for any movement you give it. Start where you are. I was pretty out of shape when I began, but my body was patient with me. Yours will be too. Discovery number 4. Sleep became my best friend. For years, I accepted that getting older meant sleeping poorly. I'd wake up multiple times during the night, toss and turn, then feel tired all day. When I mentioned it to doctors, they'd just nod and say, "That's normal at your age." But poor sleep wasn't just making me tired, it was affecting everything. My mood, my memory, even my immune system. I was getting every little bug that went around. Here's what finally helped me. I stopped fighting my body's new sleep patterns and started working with them. Instead of staying up late because I began going to bed when I actually felt tired, usually around 9 p.m. I created what I call my winding down ritual. An hour before bed, I'd turn off the TV, maybe read a few pages of a good book, and spend a few minutes thinking about 3 things that went well that day. Even on tough days, I could usually find 3 small things: a friendly conversation, a good meal, a beautiful sunset. I made my bedroom cooler and darker. I started keeping the same bedtime routine even on weekends. And here's something that really helped. When my mind would start racing with worries at bedtime, instead of fighting those thoughts, I'd acknowledge them gently and then redirect to memories that made me smile. The improvement wasn't immediate, but gradually, my sleep got deeper and more restful. And when I slept better, everything else got better too. My energy, my mood, even my ability to handle stress. Good sleep isn't a luxury when you're older, it's medicine. And you deserve to get the rest your body needs to heal and recharge. Discovery number 5. Learning made me feel young again. Here's something nobody told me. Your brain doesn't stop growing just because you hit 70, 80, or beyond. In fact, challenging your mind with new things might be one of the best gifts you can give yourself. I'd always been intimidated by technology. My grandkids would visit and seem to speak a different language with all their devices and apps. I felt left behind, like the world had moved on without me. But when I wanted to share pictures of the shelter dogs with my family, I finally asked my granddaughter to teach me how to use video calling on my phone. I was terrified I'd look foolish, but you know what? She was thrilled that I asked. She'd been wanting to help me for years but was afraid I'd be offended. Learning to use that video calling opened up my world. Suddenly I could see my grandchildren's faces when we talked, not just hear their voices. I could show them the dogs I was working with, share my little corner of the world with them. But it didn't stop there. I got curious about the breeds of dogs we had at the shelter, so I started reading about them online. That led to learning about animal behavior, which fascinated me. I wasn't trying to become an expert, I was just following my curiosity. The amazing thing is, when you're learning something new, you feel that spark of excitement again. It's like being young in the best way, not the aches and pains of youth, but that sense of wonder and possibility. Don't worry about mastering anything. Just follow what interests you. Ask questions. Let yourself be a beginner again. It's one of the most energizing things you can do. Discovery number 6. I stopped carrying the world's worries. For decades, I was a professional worrier. I worried about my kids, my job, the economy, the state of the world. After I retired, with more time on my hands, my worrying went into overdrive. I'd watch the news and feel this heavy weight of anxiety about things I couldn't control. My doctor prescribed anxiety medication, but what I really needed was perspective. It took me way too long to realize that worrying about things beyond my control wasn't helpful to anyone, not to me, not to the people I was worried about, not to the world. This doesn't mean I stopped caring. It means I learned to channel my caring into things I could actually influence. Instead of worrying about global problems, I focused on being kind to the person in front of me. Instead of fretting about my adult children's choices, I worked on being someone they felt safe coming to when they needed support. I started practicing what I call the evening release. Each night before bed, I'd consciously let go of the day's worries. I'd thank myself for caring so deeply about life and the people in it, then give myself permission to rest from those concerns. Here's what I learned. You've already survived decades of challenges, changes, and uncertainties. You have more wisdom and resilience than you probably give yourself credit for. Trust in your ability to handle whatever comes, one day at a time. The world needs your caring heart, but it doesn't need you to carry burdens that aren't yours to bear. Discovery number 7. Asking for help made me stronger. This one was the hardest for me to learn. For my whole life, I prided myself on being independent, on not being a burden to anyone. When I started struggling with things that used to be easy, like carrying heavy groceries or keeping up with yard work, I felt like I was failing. But here's what I discovered. True independence isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about making smart choices that preserve your energy for what matters most to you. I started having my groceries delivered, and you know what that gave me? More energy for playing with the dogs at the shelter. I hired a neighbor kid to help with the heavy yard work, which meant I could still tend to my garden without exhausting myself. I learned to accept help gracefully, and I also learned to offer help in ways that I could. Maybe I couldn't carry heavy things anymore, but I could listen to a friend going through a tough time. Maybe I couldn't drive long distances safely at night, but I could share the wisdom I'd gained over the years. The most gracefully aging people I know understand that we're all interdependent. We rely on others and others rely on us. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Don't be so proud that you suffer unnecessarily. Accept help when you need it, so you can keep giving in the ways that you can. That's not losing your independence, that's using it wisely. A message from my heart to yours. As we come to the end of our time together, I want you to know something from the bottom of my heart. If you're worried about aging, if you're feeling like the medical system is letting you down, if you're scared about what lies ahead, I understand. I've been exactly where you are. But please don't give up. Don't accept that decline is inevitable or that your best days are behind you. These 7 discoveries I've shared aren't magic bullets, but they changed everything for me. They gave me back my life, my hope, my joy. You don't have to do all of this at once. Start with one small thing that resonates with you. Maybe it's reaching out to an old friend, maybe it's taking a short walk, maybe it's finally learning that thing you've always been curious about. I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Are you dealing with something similar to what I went through? Have you discovered your own secrets for aging well? Your experience might be exactly what another person needs to hear. If this conversation helped you feel a little less alone, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the best gift we can give another person is the knowledge that they're not alone in their struggles. Remember, friend, you're not just getting older, you're getting wiser, more compassionate, more authentically yourself. That's not just aging, that's growing into who you were always meant to be. Take care of yourself. You matter more than you know, and your story isn't over yet.